following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, it's Monday. I hate Monday.
Come on, man. It's the first Monday in the summer season, baby. It's only going to get better.
Do you realize every day since Donald Trump was elected, it feels like a punch in the temple, man. I don't even want to get out of bed anymore.
Come on, man. We just, this is what we do. Yet we got to be professional. We got to show up and do our job and mock the son of a bitch.
Well, okay. I'll show up for the mocking, but who says I got to do this job every day?
You don't. You can do whatever you want, man.
Ever since I started working, every single day of my life has been worse than the day before it.
That's messed up.
I feel like, who is it? Sisyphus pushing that rock up the hill every day. And I feel like the rock just crushes me every day. Every day.
Every day?
Every freaking day.
Come on, man. Are you feeling like the case of the Mondays in here today?
I must have a case of the Mondays. Yeah, every freaking day that this man has been the president has been worse than the day before.
No, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
Here's the question, Dom. Do we sink to their level? The level of the Trumpians? Do we limbo down to where they reside?
Well, I don't know what you mean.
Do we heckle them? Do we call them out? Do we?
Of course.
And I don't mean on the radio, because that's what we do. But I'm talking about publicly. Do we act uncivilized? Do we throw people out of restaurants? Do we say, we don't serve your kind here?
Oh, poor Sarah Huckabee
I don't
Sanders.
like the color of your orange skin.
Well, politically speaking, there's no rule against throwing somebody out because they're an ass. They can choose to be an ass. They choose not to be an ass. As a proprietor of, say, a restaurant or a bar, wearing a Trump hat is not a religious event. You are not holding mass. You can get thrown out for that. There's no right to go into somewhere. Now, you can be, if you discriminate based on race, religion, creed, these other things, certainly that is an issue. But no, I have absolutely no problem whatsoever if a restaurant owner, upon speaking with their staff, decides that, no, you know what, we don't want that person here.
What if it's
because of a political issue, because of the way they see the government being run, and this person, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is a lying spokesperson for the president? No, get her the hell out of here. That's their right, and I absolutely support their right to do it.
What if I put up a blue wall at the front door of this shop and said, no more Republicans welcome here?
You can do that.
Your buddy Ron Johnson's no longer welcome on the premises.
Yes, and as the owner, Crudy, that is absolutely your right. Now, I support your right to do that. Now, would I agree with that decision? No. I think it's certainly up to the individual person.
Having things both ways, are we?
Absolutely. Listen, if it's my shop, number one, I don't have to have a policy. If I'm in a bad mood and Sarah Huckabee Sanders said something stupid that day, I can get up and kick that bitch out of my restaurant if I want. I don't give a damn. Period. Now, if I'm in a good mood and she didn't do anything stupid, yeah, maybe she can come in. But there's no right to go out and have a peaceful dinner when you're a POS. I think absolutely you push back. Now, do we sink to their level? Do we become...
I think you already have.
Do we come out and purposefully state false things to try to, get people's goat? No, of course not. You stick with the facts. You stick with what's real. You be true to yourself. But
Dom, I can
have
see
absolutely no problem with it.
Huckabee Sanders over your head right now on the TV in the studio.
Yeah.
She's lying right now. Her
Yes.
lips are moving.
Yes, of course. So no, too bad, so sad. Move along, sister. And if it's her or if it's Christian Nielsen or if it's any of the other jackasses in this Stephen Miller.
Especially Stephen Miller.
Right.
I mean, Stephen Miller going to a Mexican joint, that's ballsy, right?
But listen, as far as I am concerned, these people have hate in their heart. They're not doing us a service, and they serve, Donald Trump, who's not taking care of, to my opinion, this country. So no, and I will live it. If someone has a problem with me walking into their restaurant and say, Dom, I heard you on the radio the other day, you're kind of an ass, I don't want you here, fine. I will go somewhere else where I am more beloved. I have no problem with that.
Why don't you head over to Right Wing Talk Radio today?
You
might be more beloved over there.
All right, let me ask you, Crudy.
Sure.
What do you think?
Ask away.
Do you think that Sarah Huckabee Sanders should have had her fried chicken taken away and sent away?
Here's what I would say. I'm glad that you agree with me that you can rule your little fiefdom, your little business,
sure, yes,
in whatever sort of arbitrary fashion you might choose.
Yes.
But what about those that would say, so I choose not to make a wedding cake for gay people or a floral arrangement for
those are
a same-sex
I consider
marriage.
Those protected classes. I have your politics is not a protected
Not
class.
in most states.
I get it, and I have an issue with that, and I think it should be a protected class.
But why is that Colorado baker's personal moral judgment against someone else, whether or not you think it's right? It's that guy's, it's his business. You didn't have to bake a damn cake. You're going to make a bacon cake?
And the U.S. Supreme Court ruled very narrowly in that case. They turned down another case regarding flowers today, remanded that back to the lower courts. In the case of the Colorado baker, it was, from my understanding of the reading, essentially the way that the state disrespected this man's beliefs. It was a very one specific case. It was not an overreaching assessment or judgment on whether or not you can turn someone down.
Fair enough, but two guys talking on the radio now.
Right.
If you want the right to call Sarah Huckabee Colonel Sanders a POS and a bitch,
yes.
I think I heard you say just a few minutes ago.
Yes.
If you're going to castigate her as such
because of her politics, because of personal decisions that she makes.
How about if you were just
she decides to be like that? That's the difference. You see that?
But you're just like that, Dom.
I'm not. I'm like what?
In your own mind.
I'm like what?
You're a pain in the ass.
Well, maybe. And if someone doesn't like it, I'm being too boisterous in their bar. They can kick you out of a bar, Crudy.
I've been
doesn't
kicked
even
out of
gotta
bars.
be politics.
Remember, that's how this show started.
You can just be loud.
Thought we were too boisterous.
Too damn bad.
Talking politics in the bar. That's how this freaking show started.
But you can't kick someone out because...
How can you want it both ways?
It's not both ways, man. It's very specific. If you're just an ass...
Specifically arbitrary or
Studio
what?
54. They turn people away at their door, right? Was that discrimination? No.
You'd have been turned.
There was that discrimination. Now, if you turn all the blacks away or all the Italians away or all the Catholics away or all the immigrants away, yeah, that becomes a little more of an issue, Crudy. And I do think protected classes should be protected, and perhaps we should add a couple of more on there. But if I turn you away because you're an ass and you're disrupting my place of business and nobody in my place of business wants you there and it's making life hell for me.
Says you.
Well, it's my place. If I take
I polled the staff and they said, "Hey, we don't want you here.
We don't want you here."
But they had already served her.
Yeah, and then they
did they give her a free meal or
Yes.
did they expect her to pay?
No, they give. Did you read any of the articles, man? She'd have to pay.
I didn't read that deep. I mean, it's broadly. I don't care what Sarah Huckabee Sanders
Pretty sure she finished up the cheese plate as fast as she could and got out. Her mouth might have been full on the way out the door. No, man, it's not about having it both ways.
No, you're thinking of Brian. He's got. Tell me I'm wrong if you don't have a mouthful of cheese right now.
You're wrong. It's yogurt.
I saw a spoon in there somewhere.
I do love cheese.
I don't spoon cheese.
Isn't it Dairy Month or something?
I don't know.
Perhaps we'll get to that.
So
issue
I
later.
don't see it both ways, Crudy. And so give me your take, man. What would you do? Your staff says, you know what, this person in here, we don't want her here. We don't want her. We think she's a terrible person.
I've actually had to deal with some of these specific circumstances.
Okay.
Just as a private citizen, I was at a restaurant one night. You know that I don't like me. No, former Speaker of the Assembly, Mike Hipsch. He went on to be, the head of the Department of Administration, number 1 cabinet secretary under Scott Walker. And there's no love lost for me to Mike Hipsch. I know Mike Hipsch killed the autism mandate. I watched him do it at like 1 o'clock in the morning for no other reason, I suspect, than he was cashing the lobbyist check from the insurance industry. That's what I've always thought. And I think he's a corrupt bastard.
And wasn't he ahead of the Department of Administration when they were arresting all the protesters down at the Capitol for singing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That guy.
Yes, that guy. He moved on to the Public Service Commission. I'm not clear when that happened. But anyways, here's my point. Hipsch lives, or at least works, in the town I live. I've seen him out in public. I've seen him out with his kids. If I took your attitude, you bitch, POS, Mike Hipsch, I would have degraded my own character by doing so, to my opinion. Sure. Not theatrically talking on the radio, because that's what you do.
Now you're just another citizen. You are not the proprietor of an establishment, right?
Correct. I'm talking specifically about Cheeseburger in Paradise in Middleton, all right, where I bumped into Hipsch and his family.
But this is a separate issue specifically than this restaurant issue with Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I just want to be clear.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders was kicked out by the proprietor, but that's the only circumstance in which the proprietor was involved. The people heckling Stephen Miller at the Mexican joint, that wasn't the proprietor and the staff. I mean, it wasn't the mariachi band taking their pot shots.
They were protesters.
Those were individual private citizens approaching a guy for no other reason than they don't like the guy he works for and his, I have no doubt that Stephen Miller's got a black, cold heart.
Okay.
But doesn't he have the right to eat his enchilada in peace?
Why?
Don't you?
Don't
you degrade?
No, absolutely not. When you decide to be the person that you are,
don't forget.
When you decide to be the person that you are, you have to live with those consequences, man. They used to tar and feather people like that, man.
Well, I'm about to tar and feather you, and don't forget, we've got some haters out there in the world, Dom. What if they took that very same attitude? You're a public figure.
Bring it.
You put yourself on the right. You're gonna go have fist fights at Chinese joints and Mexican joints.
Wait. Physical altercations are not the same as heckling or publicly shaming
somebody. So you
think
it's okay if someone publicly heckles you while you're out for dinner with your family?
Bring it on. I have no problem with it. No. Because
and you don't think that would turn into a greater altercation?
I realize that because of things that I say, and I am, I guess, a public figure. If someone has an issue with it, so much of an issue that they're going to address me in a public forum, okay, bring that. Bring it. I have no problem with that. Because I'm okay with who I am and how I live my life.
Have you ever been approached publicly? You ever felt like
challenged?
Yeah.
Publicly? No.
I have.
Well, how'd you handle it, man?
Well, first of all, I got mad at my wingman for leaving me out there.
Oh, come on.
And then I threatened to kick a guy's ass. I said, get out of my face. You know me. You know that I'm not.
So if not now, when, man? I mean,
but I don't think that's right. I don't think that's proper conduct.
When you get to push back on the fascism, on the lies and the BS and all the stuff that comes raining down upon us, I'm not going to give them equal time. No, absolutely not. You want to be like that? You want to be around my world? Then I'm going to challenge you if I decide to. And I expect, Rudy, if you're feeling up to it and you're feeling a little feisty, knock yourself out. There's no protection for being an ass in this world, man. And if we don't push back...
But don't I drop myself to the level... Am I not also an ass if I challenge Mike Hipsch at Cheeseburger and he's got his kids there? Am I not also being an ass? I don't see any difference in his policy choice and Stephen Miller's policy choice. Both heartless, both at the expense of poor families, poor in that their, kids are not getting the treatment they need. I mean, it means just as much to me as watching those poor immigrant kids getting pulled away from their families. When my kid's not getting provided for because of Mike Hipsch's actions, don't I have the right to be a public ass?
Yes, do it. Knock yourself out, man. I'm not the one stopping you.
That's uncivilized. I am nothing if not civilized. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789. Want to hear from you.
The president is pushing back against people who attack him day after day after day. Where is the outrage on that?
We don't serve their kind here.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
The first step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
The Devil's Advocates may not agree on much, but funny is funny.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming this fine product on the YouTube and Facebook pages. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789. In fact, you can email us out just like our buddy Paul did. He said, what about the butt plug? Crudy.
You mean the Scott Walker butt plug?
Yeah.
That's a work of art.
I didn't. What's the difference?
That's an excellent retort, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
I mean, Paul, you're on our team. Why are you taking pot shots at us?
I think he's just.
It's got to be a Paul Trotter butt plug rolling out pretty soon.
Come on.
Yes, that was not our most civilized act. I mean, warranted, absolutely, but not our most civil act. Let's not forget, when we had the butt plug commissioned, our friend, and if you'd like to buy a Scott Walker butt plug. I believe about $30, $29.95, something like that. Political Sculptor with an O.com. Our friend Fernando Sosa, what an artist. He was the guy that started creating the Donald Trump butt plugs. And we found him on HuffPost, and we reached out. And at the time, Scott Walker was leading in the polls. I said, how can you have a Donald Trump butt plug and not a Scott Walker butt plug? Show the people the butt plug. If you're looking on the Facebook live streams or the YouTubes, there's the butt plug. Bald spot included. And what was the big claim to fame? I'm an Eagle Scout. I mean, he said it so many times that we had Scott Walker's butt plug, the commissioned of the butt plug. We had it done in a Scout uniform. My only regret to besmirch the fine organization that is the BSA, Boy Scouts of America. Girls now allowed. But we also had him in all the dishonor badges. Those little badges, they mean something.
They all mean something.
All the dishonors, all the corruption, all of the... So... And on the bottom, what's it say, Dom?
Oh, the Devil's Advocates logo, of course. When you can see the
special
bottom,
edition. That's what makes it quality.
When you see the Devil's Advocates logo, you know it's quality.
Nothing but the best products. So find that at politicalsculptor.com.
What about being
That's very civilized.
What about being nice?
Well, I didn't drop it off at a Walker dinner party.
If you did, would it be a problem?
Oh, no, I'd have no regrets. But I had handed to him in a very civilized fashion. Governor, Herr Governor. Little art project for you. Striking resemblance. He does look like a butt plug.
Yeah, it's really good. Well done, Fernando.
3D printer. I'm not saying
it's really more of a novelty item. It's like kind of sandstone, kind of exfoliating.
Abrasive, much like Governor Butt Plug.
Yes.
Come back with us, the most civilized radio show ever.
Wah, wah.
Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789. Email Dom or tweet us out at Devil Radio. We'll be right back.
Person that I see a war on is this president and everybody that works for him.
There's no crime!
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Here's how you get them. If someone invites you for a cocktail, you bring them beer. If someone invites you to dinner, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gostad. A town hall event held by students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School drew around 500 people this weekend at the Wisconsin Center. Before the Milwaukee event, students stopped at House Speaker Paul Ryan's Janesville office to drop off a copy of the H.R. 4240, a bill that describes legislation for universal background checks to purchase firearms. The students also visited Madison for a rally and voter registration drive. Kenosha received $900,000 in grants and has elected to use $384,000 of it on gunshot detection systems. The Kenosha Unified School District will be installing gunfire sensors in its 43 schools. The Eagle systems are designed to alert police of shots being fired and activates surveillance cameras near the location to live stream the scene to authorities. The sensors can also lock doors after detecting gunshots.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Always trying to be civilized about the political chatter.
Are you sure?
Well, Tom, as we mentioned, this show started as a reaction. The sentiment, the divide and conquer sentiment, the strife, so terrible here in the state of Wisconsin. We were getting shushed in the bars, man. And I'm thinking, if we can't talk politics in the bar, where are we going to talk politics?
The radio?
On the radio, of course. And of course, here you can have friends join, not just random drunks. 844 or perhaps random drunks.
And friends.
844-967-2789. Let's get to the phones, Tom.
Sometimes they're one and the same. Pizza Box Mike, you're up, my friend. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us today?
The answer is yes, yes, yes. It's Running Man, Total Recall. They live. Man, these guys are predators. Make them use the trees. You know, I heard Maxine Waters yesterday, and she said exactly what I said to Robin Voss and John Nygren and a couple other people that are no longer there with their spouses and girlfriends and whatever they got with them. But holding signs. Calling them out. Robin Voss said it to me. Oh, man, we can't go anywhere. And I said, that's right. We're going to be everywhere. You should be prepared for it. We don't want to see you in public.
Well, let's ask a specific question. Robin Voss had a beer poured over his head by that CIA guy, Miles. And I've been challenged that when I'm telling the story about the guy that got in my face in public, I was actually talking to a Capitol police officer. I threatened to kick the guy's ass. The Capitol cop said to me, take him away from the building. That's where the cameras are. I mean, he would have loved to see this guy's ass get kicked. I tried to enter a Robin Voss press conference in the mere proximity to Miles, nearly got our press credentials taken away. So I got to ask you, Miles poured a beer over Robin Voss's head. I'd have punched him in the mouth. I don't think I would have taken that sort of incivility.
You would have punched Miles in the mouth.
Yes.
Pouring the beer. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think, even if, I don't like Robin Voss, but I don't think it's right to go pour a beer over the guy's head in public. I would have defended Robin Voss as much as that would have galled me. I'd have probably given Miles a good shove, even if I was just a guy standing there seeing it happen between two individuals. I mean, there's no way I'm ever going to agree that we should go pour beers over heads.
But Pizza Box, are you suggesting we pour beers over people's heads, or are you suggesting that we get in their space
man?
yeah?
What did I say? Did somebody pour chicken gravy over the top of Sarah Huckabee Sanders? I mean, come on, man. Really? I mean, that was done with such dignity that it's not even funny. And you have to ask yourself, why would she drive that far to go to a restaurant anyway? Maybe it is already happening, and it should happen, okay? No, I never laid a finger on anybody. I've never been charged with assault. I've never threatened anybody. All I do is show up with signs and argue with them.
Yeah.
Man, that's okay.
Mike, but some people don't restrain themselves. Some people take this as license. In fact, I know you're going to love to hear this. Nancy Pelosi specifically pushing back on Maxine Water, saying, don't do it, Democrats. And here's my question. Maybe you're a good guy, Mike. I know you to be a good guy. I have no doubt you're a good guy. But some guys like Miles, they're not good guys. They're asses.
No, hey,
and they pour beers and they get in people's faces.
Let's not even go there. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, but just because you haven't, if we okay incivility, the next guy takes his license.
But I would say this, Pizza Box, Mike.
That's happening already, guys. That's happening already. That's what they're doing. We're not responding that way. We're showing up and saying, give us the children back. Give us our rights back. We're getting arrested peacefully. This has nothing to do with Miles or the people on the outskirts of sanity, okay? But if you're going to sit here and watch all these repeat oligarchs, with the extended authority and more power, and Donald Trump's busying up with them, man, wake up, people. It's not coming next week. It's here right now, okay? This is fascism. And what happened at the Red Hen, we should have a chain of Red Hens to replace Chick-fil-A.
Instead, you couldn't eat not just Sarah Huckabee Sanders, but no one ate at the Red Hen after the story broke because they've been under constant assault. They closed the restaurant out of fear of retribution. So what did this accomplish?
They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. Well, you know what it accomplishes? It shows you how far these guys are willing to go. And if you don't push back, they're going to keep going.
Absolutely.
So
that's it, Mike.
Hands and stand up to that damn Trump, who's already showing how to raise the hand when he's talking about and attention and all this. And congratulations, oligarchs. You really know how to kill your people when they get online. And I'm telling you, this country, we're gone. Their commie red wave, with everything they got going, is going to douse that blue wave, and we're going to be the next communist country.
Come on, man. All right, Mike. Hey,
you don't think it's coming?
I do not. Absolutely not, because there's guys like you and me out there, Mike. That'll never happen.
No.
Hey, thanks, man.
I'm telling you, it's worse than you think. Just like that guy's book. I go in and get a cup of coffee, and 3 or 4 people that are well off are going, yeah, right, If you get pulled over and do a 56 and a 55, you're going to fight that? You broke the law. Makes no sense. It doesn't have anything to do with what. Did they take your kids when you did 56 and a 55? We know nobody does 56. Come on, what is this? It's just nonsensical arguments, and half the damn country's in on that side. And let's not go there, but let's drag these people off the streets, man. Don't make them feel comfortable. They got no right doing what they're doing. They're destroying everything. The least we can do is embarrass them in public. What do? They get up and they leave. Rick Scott leaves because one woman is giving him a hard time about the truth. Keep speaking the truth. Don't put your hands on them. Don't touch them. Don't threaten them. Hold up signs with backs. Put their name on it. That works better than anything else. I've been doing it for 7 years.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
I've got no qualms with the Pizza Box Ready Signs Pizza Box. Mike, very clever guy. Yes, he does name names, and I've always appreciated that. But, Mike, you approach those people at their place of work, the Wisconsin State Capitol, the People's House. That's the appropriate place to approach a lawmaker with the sign saying, you're a loser.
Are they no longer a lawmaker when they're not on the Capitol? Do their votes not count when they walk off the Capitol grounds? Come on, man. That's
I don't
what
know,
they
man.
do.
I just
You don't get a pass just because you're in public. People take pictures. People say things. You do not get a pass. You don't like it, change what you do or stay out of public.
Well, I would say be happy you're not a little more famouser then.
Okay, man. 844-967-2789.
You don't think we've ever irritated a Republican or two?
Do I look like I give a damn, Crudy? I mean, really? You've known me for 25 years. Do you think I care? Do you think I really care? Do you?
Are you pointing at your
it's like
ponytail?
my jacket, man. Like what's her name's jacket the other day?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were pointing at the man bun.
I'm
thinking
really
it's your sign of incivility. I will not cut my hair as long as Trump is president.
Gene from Eau Claire, you are next. Thanks for calling. Jeannie, happy Monday. What do you think?
Hey, Jeannie.
Well, happy Monday to you guys. Now, we got to put this in a framework of we are not under normal circumstances. From their positions at the highest bully pulpit, and that's probably bully for sure now, in our country, free from debate or protest. And talk about Sarah Sanders and the others. They have lied, attacked, berated, ridiculed individuals and groups and institutions, and attacked our free press. And I believe that we need to stand up to this. We need to fight back against it. I don't think we need to pour beer on anybody. We do not
No,
need
of course
to
not.
physically touch anybody. Of course, I know you're not advocating for that. But this is the only way to have our voices heard that we do not agree with this. And you know what? I don't agree with the way Sarah Sanders treats our press and the people that are supposed to be getting us information by lying. And I can't call Sarah Sanders up and say, hey, you're hurting our country.
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask her to leave my restaurant after all of the damages that she has caused and the horrifying things she said about people. And I don't want my customers getting sick to their stomach or feeling emotional duress.
Sick to their stomach? Come on. I mean, Jeannie, I love you, Jeannie, but really? You can't eat in Sarah Huckabee Sanders' presence without getting nauseous? I mean, that seems like a little bit of a...
I get nauseated every time I see that woman. The things that come out of her mouth is just irreprehensible. She is cruel, and she tells lies, and it's unbelievable. We haven't had this before, guys. This is a different circumstance, and I agree that fascism is moving in our country quickly or more faster than we even can comprehend it.
But see, last week Dom was disagreeing with that point of view too. It cannot be both a trip towards fascism and dictatorship, and you can scream and yell at these. And thank you for the call, Jeannie. Always a preferred caller, Jeannie, 844-967-2789. Other than a couple of gosh darns, I've never really heard Jeannie be anything other than very civil. But I mean, how can you have it both ways, man? Is this because we're
not on? Listen, the issue when we talked about rising fascism, and you made this statement: we're a fascist state. No, we're not. We still have
DEFCON 4.
We still have freedom of the press. We still have an independent Department of Justice or police standing. We do not have troops deployed downtown Milwaukee. I don't.
No,
think
they're on the southern border.
I do believe certainly Donald Trump is a fascist. Loves the dictators. Loves being the guy in charge. But no, we're very far away from that. And one of the ways that we stay away from that is calling out people like Sarah Huckabee Sanders when they're out in public. Because you know what? She's not going to take my question when she's at the podium. And when she does take questions, she reads the prepared statements that don't actually answer the question.
Here's the only problem with that theory. You turn this despicable, I don't even want to call her a human being, this despicable creature, you turn her into a victim. Now she's the snowflake victim. Now she gets to claim victimhood. Now they get to go out there, those poor writers were treated so poorly.
Exactly.
Well, they have their own...
She's getting a little bit of what she's been dishing out. What do they always say on the playground? If you can't take it, don't dish
and
it out,
you get to
right?
gin up the Trump supporters because they're
already
poor
gymmed
victims.
up. So what? It doesn't bother me. They're not going to change their mind.
You don't
know
think
who's changing their
Maxine
mind?
Waters...
George Will's changing his mind. You know what? A bunch of Republicans, the establishment are changing their mind. It's the 30% Trumpers that aren't going to change their mind because they'll believe anything this guy says.
That Maxine Waters video will turn out 3% more voters on behalf of Donald Trump. That simple act, be it the ginned up racism or be it the fact that she is publicly calling for citizens to attack the Trump administration. I mean, I think that is
attack the Trump administration
verbally, to heckle them,
Okay.
and
All right.
any opportunity that you as citizens, we're going to make it hard on them.
Yes, make it hard on them. What's wrong with
and
that?
Maxine Waters probably just turned out 3% more Trump
Well,
voters.
I know you say that, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. Where are you going to get them from, Crudy? When they max out at 30% and everybody else is running away, where they're going to come from?
But now you made their boy and his subordinates victims and snowflakes.
What, they're already victims and snowflakes, Crudy. They're already playing that card, man. What makes you think that this is any different from what they've already been dealing?
We're giving them the ace of spades. Come back.
Come on. Come on.
Jack of clubs?
Is making a Scott Walker butt plug going to turn out Scott Walker voters, Crudy?
I think in some way it might have. The guy won re-election. Of course, we did end his presidential campaign quite effectively, and that was the intent at the moment. So that's a good thing.
When do you push back then, Crudy? At what point do you
I
think
think we
it's
push
okay?
back every day on the air.
No. Oh, come on, man. When do you push back?
So if
walking down the sidewalk,
the lady riding her bike and the Trump motorcade goes by, you want to give them the middle finger? I'm all for that. The lady jogging by Scott Walker, the governor's mansion in Madison, got caught on Google Earth flipping off the governor's mansion. I got no problem with that.
How is that any different?
That's a little different than
it's nonverbal communication.
But they're sure.
Come on, man.
I want to be sedated, man. Like I said, this entire life I am living in this America that we now live in feels like a hammer on my head. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Your calls welcome. 844-967-2789.
I'm going to say one thing. F*** Trump.
What a shame that a few bad apples have to spoil a good time for everyone.
On many sides. On many sides.
I'm sure of it. I hate him.
I'm going to say one thing. F*** Trump.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce, Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Person who's against these regulations to keep poop out of your water and poison out of your food. If, one of their offspring had a third arm coming out of their forehead.
I would just think that would be awkward. You'd be very top heavy.
But you would be one heck of a football player.
How would they make a helmet?
All you got to do is cut a hole in the helmet for the hand to come through and you could catch
but then
passes
you're
all over
elbowing
the place.
everybody in the face every time you walk around.
Wear an elbow pad. You'd be fine.
How would you see?
You would be a heck of a football player.
Would you be an arm unicorn?
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for nasty women everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming live on the YouTube and Facebook stations, channels, pages. Twitter, it is at Devil Radio on the party line, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I never thought of you as heartless. Soulless, sure, but never heartless.
Yeah, man, sometimes you're just done. I'm just done hearing about it, done talking to people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. And if you're walking down the street, you have no right to be free from harassment per your positions. Why would anybody get a pass ever? Why?
Because we got 5-6 callers holding, and we need to get to the phones.
All
That's
right.
why.
Thank you so much. Be patient. We will get to everybody. No guest today. You are our guest, Annie from Watertown. Thank you for calling. What are your thoughts today?
Well, I don't know. It's sort of like ding, 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 and the winner is them, because you're arguing. I don't know. I think the best thing to do is excuse all but a really, really outrageous thing. And just, people are stressed. Hey, this is extreme. We've got a guy who's just like using the Constitution for toilet paper and people going along with it.
Yep.
This woman, Huckabee, I mean, if she stays there 3 years, that's $500,000 we pay her. For what?
We're going to pay somebody else. If it's not her, it'll be the Mooch or Spicy or somebody. I mean, they'll hire another spokesliar-in-chief if it's not Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
I don't know. It's just, the extremist thing, I would say, I think it is great that they just said, hey, we really don't want you here. And I think that would be great. And if everybody just keeps doing that, we can just tend to the things that are important. And,
I've got a recommendation. Thank you for the call, Annie. We're going to keep going down the list. 844-967-2789. I've got a recommendation. You don't like Scott Walker. You don't like Donald Trump. Protest this Thursday, June 28th. Take a little drive down to the Foxconn groundbreaking and protest with me, because I'll go show my incivility at that event.
But what's the difference? Why
That's
is it
not
okay?
a restaurant.
So what does that have to do with it? You're in a public space either way. What?
The guy has the right to eat his overcooked steak slathered in ketchup and
Number
peace
one,
if he
if the
wants
proprietor doesn't want him to, no. And number two,
then don't serve them in the first place. Turn them at the door. Don't invite them in. Seat them, feed them, and then kick them out.
They can do whatever the hell they want, as I'm sure you know you would do if it was your restaurant, Crudy. Let's get
Crudy's place. That sounds very appetizing.
Reverend Dean, anxious to get your take on this, my friend. Welcome. What do you got for us?
Well, I always love to call when I'm actually on Dom's.
Reverend Dean.
Hallelujah.
Turn the other cheek. You're going to punch him in it? What's this talk, sir?
Well, of course, like in my faith, right? The one whom I call God also said, brood of vipers. He, called out evil when evil is present. And as long as it's not a choice, if it's not a choice to follow that, then yes, you have every right to say that's wrong. And I don't want you here, right? I mean, Brian and I were talking about the fact that it's not about being civil. It's about enacting civil disobedience.
Hey, please don't interact with the help. Just teasing.
So, Dean, if it was your restaurant, you would turn them away, and if they were sitting there, would you say something to her walking down the sidewalk? I mean, where do you draw the line?
What if she's out with her kids?
I would say it in a more respectful point, and if she wasn't with other kids, it would be a little bit more disrespectful. But I would respect the fact that kids are there. But I have no respect. This woman purposely lies to imprison children. Like at that point, you just got to say, "You're a bad person, and I don't want you in my space."
Dean, Dean, I'm sorry to cut you short. I know you protested the day Governor Scott Walker announced his re-election campaign. You joined many at the Voces de la Frontera, the 1,000+ protesters across the street. Dean, will you protest on Thursday of this week? And do you think protest perhaps is also an appropriate way, perhaps a more civilized way to be disobedient?
Not more civilized. It's the same civilized. As opposed to if you do a personal protest against these evil people, or you gather in 1,000 like we did with Walker, it's still civil. It's protest, and it's pointing out when people are bad and evil, and they need to be expressed.
Well, I wish we'd show up in the hundreds of thousands once again. We are the devil's advocates, talking to millions, I suspect. Come back with us, 844-967-2789.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
I am not a racist. I'm an idiot.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Everybody buckle up. Mom. Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
in the studio, Reuben Harpo, the griot of our community.
The purpose for education is to keep the world from cheating you. And then I read about it in Ebony magazine by Lerone Bennett. Lerone said that, Dr. Mays said that if you're ignorant, the world will cheat you. And if you're weak, the world will kick you. And if you're a coward, the world will keep you running.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 a.m. WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 a.m. WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
New border policy, old trade worries. I'm Mike Moss. In a reversal of policy, the Trump administration is temporarily halting the prosecution of parents who illegally cross the southern border with their kids. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says it's not a permanent move, but a necessary reality.
The president's ultimate goal would be that we have actually a secure border and people aren't coming into the country illegally, but that we have a system that works and the people that come into the country come in through a legal system.
The head of Customs and Border Protection says the zero tolerance policy remains in effect, but cases cannot be prosecuted because parents cannot be separated from their kids. Attorney General Jeff Sessions admitted today he's grown frustrated by the border problems.
The compassionate thing to do, I firmly believe, is to protect our children from drugs and violence, to put criminals in jail, and secure our borders.
The great American motorcycle maker Harley Davidson says the expansion of international trade tariffs is forcing it to build many of its bikes overseas. Correspondent Allison Cossack.
The way Harley sees it, Europe is a critical market for the company. You look at last year, it did 15% of its business there. 40,000 motorcycles were sold. So for now, Harley is basically going to eat the higher tariff costs. The company says it's going to take a hit of $30 million to $45 million for the rest of the year. And if you look at the full year, the impact could be as high as $100 million.
President Trump today accused Congresswoman Maxine Waters of encouraging harassment of members of his administration. Senator Chuck Schumer says Waters was wrong, but the president is being hypocritical.
I understand those who are outraged at the hypocrisy of this president when he complains about bullying, harassment, and nastiness when it's used against him or his allies, and he uses it as a regular tool almost every day.
It was a down day on Wall Street today. The Dow closed down 328 points. I'm Mike Moss.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
The remains of U.S. servicemen from the Korean War may be heading home from North Korea.
The Trump administration is expecting up to 200 sets of remains from the North Koreans. We know that the U.S. forces in Korea, the United Nations Command, headed up by the U.S. military, has sent 100 wooden caskets to the DMZ in anticipation of these remains. We know that the U.S. side is certainly readying itself to be able to receive these remains. But of course, it's the North Koreans who are dictating exactly when it will happen, which is why we don't have too much clarification on timing at this point. We would then expect some kind of a ceremony for the transfer of remains, and then potentially Hawaii, where there is a forensics laboratory to be able to figure out who everybody is.
Correspondent Paula Hancock's in South Korea. The U.S. is getting ready to present North Korea with a timeline and demands to follow up on the Trump-Kim summit recently in Singapore. I'm Mike Moss.
I'm Jesse Pikeholz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gostad. Paul Ryan has endorsed Leah Vukmir over Kevin Nicholson in the race for U.S. Senate. Vukmir was recently shown to be trailing Nicholson according to the mark zip lines, butterfly exhibits, and an outdoor children's garden. Highs today near 70, overnight lows in the low 60s. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gostad.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a very civilized radio product right here, originating in the heart of liberal Wisconsin. And lots of people want to participate today, but I would ask, be patient. Momentarily, we'll get to our fine audience, 844-967-2789. Don't call right now, though. I think they're completely jammed. So I'll read quickly, Dom. The Washington Post. American politics is being disfigured by corrosive incivility and toxic partisanship. The worst offender is President Trump, but that doesn't mean that his opponents are free of obligations of civilized discourse. Comedian Michelle Wolf, late night host Samantha Bee, and actor Robert De Niro all crossed the line recently with vulgar attacks on, respectively, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Ivanka Trump, and the president himself. So what about the Trump critics who are making it difficult, if not impossible, for certain administration officials to dine in public? Last week, White House aide Stephen Miller was heckled at a Mexican restaurant by someone who shouted that he's a real-life fascist. 2 days later, Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen was accosted at another Mexican eatery by protesters shouting in family separation and if kids don't eat in peace, you don't eat in peace. Then on Friday, it was Sanders' turn. Stephanie Wilkinson, the owner of the Red Hen, a restaurant in Lexington, Virginia, politely asked the White House press secretary to leave because she worked for an inhumane and unethical administration. These public rebukes have predictably allowed Trump defenders to play the victim, as they love to do. Her, a quote, Dom, her actions say far more about her than about me, Sanders tweeted indignantly about Wilkinson. I always do my best to treat people, including those I disagree with, respectfully, and I will continue to do so. Her father, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, weighed in on with his own tweet. Bigotry on the menu at the Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, Virginia, or you can ask for the hate plate. And it's dirty on the outside, it's dirty on the inside. Exclamation point. He must be thinking of Mar-a-Lago's kitchens, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of health violations there I read on briefly.
13, but go ahead.
The hypocrisy is galling. The administration thinks that a Colorado baker should not be forced to serve a gay couple because their wedding evinces his religious beliefs, but it insists that restaurateurs should be forced to serve Trump aides whose conduct, rather than their characteristics, offend their most deeply held beliefs. Trump defenders are in no position to decry personal nastiness and bigotry when they defend a nasty, bigoted president. Huckabee wins the hypocrisy gold medal for attacking the Red Hen just hours after posting a picture of a tattooed MS-13 gang member under the nasty, bigoted headline, Nancy Pelosi introduces her campaign committee for the Take Back the House. This is straight out of the president's playbook. Trump incessantly attacks both immigrants and Democrats in demagogic terms. Take this tweet from last week. Democrats are the problem. They don't care about crime and want illegal immigrants, no matter how bad they may be, to pour in and infest our country like MS-13. They can't win on their terrible policies, so they view them as potential voters. Exclamation point, Dom.
Well, I got to read this. I don't agree with this, but I'll read it. Anyway, I'll bring it home here. Trump has been much criticized, and rightly so, for his dehumanizing language about immigrants, animals, snakes, infest, which echoes the words of ethnic cleansers from Nazi Germany to Rwanda. I'll continue. But also notable in his assault on the political opposition as traitors in league with criminals. The president has explicitly said that Democrats are treasonous and don't seem to love our country very much. This is how would-be dictators stamp out opposition. Trump's assault on democracy also includes pandering to racists, vilifying the press, undermining the legal system, ignoring ethical norms, and pathological lying. Most shocking of all, he implemented and then reluctantly rescinded a policy of snatching children away from their parents and locking them up in steel cages to discourage illegal immigration. This is the kind of act which, if committed by any other country, would be branded a human rights violation. Now Trump demands that immigrants be denied the protections of law, no judges or court cases before deportation, as he declared in another tweet. I can understand why such acts elicit a strong reaction when administration officials venture out in public, but that doesn't mean restaurateurs should refuse to serve patrons whose political views they find repugnant. In Washington, especially, this could get easily out of hand. Sorry, Senator, no eggs for you this morning, not after your vote on SR 2148. Even less does it mean that flash mobs should harass cabinet members in public as demanded by Rep. Maxine Waters. Some who serve in the administration, such as Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, should be applauded for trying to save the country from the president. While I sympathize with the impulse behind an internet wag that is dubbed no justice, no peace doctrine, in the end, I think it is counterproductive and reduces Trump's critics to his low level. To save our country, we need to practice heroic self-constraint and courageous civility in the face of grievous provocation. Remember what the Reverend Martin Luther King said, returning the hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars.
Or as I would say, it gives those snowflake bitches an excuse to play the victim card.
And I get that. And I don't discount it, but it's not worth a whole lot. And when you're talking about language from a president, Crudy, which this guy in the article here, Max Boot, Washington Post, says echoes the words of ethnic cleansers in Nazi Germany, and says Democrats are treasonous, let alone that the press, the media, Crudy, you, me, we are America's greatest enemy? You know, at what point can we tell a guy to go F off? I mean, what are you waiting for? But we'll get to
I
the
believe
phones
you've had your opportunity to tell Trump to F off.
Another take on this, and we'll get to the phones, 844-967-27.
One line free, call right now.
888-449-667-PARTY. The conclusion to Jennifer Rubin's piece from a couple of days ago regarding Sarah Huckabee Sanders and the lost art of shunning, and here's how Jennifer wraps it up. Listen, I get it. The notion of shunning or excluding or heckling can devolve into philosophical hair-splitting as to whether someone has engaged in normal public service or whether they've strayed outside the bounds of decent behavior. To each his own method of expressing disdain and fury, I suppose. Nevertheless, it is not altogether a bad thing to show those who think they are exempt from personal responsibility that their actions bring scorn, exclusion, and rejection. If you don't want to provoke wrath, don't continue to work for someone whose cruel and inhumane treatment of others rivals the internment of U.S. citizens and non-citizens of Japanese descent during World War II. And yes, I'd have hollered at then California Attorney General Earl Warren, who pushed for the roundup of people of Japanese ancestry, even American citizens.
844-967-2789. We're going to the phones. Wisco Paul, you're up. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Devils.
You're quite welcome. We're always civilized. We take all callers here, Paul.
All of them.
You guys are awesome. Pizza Box and Jenny, I think her name was, and some of the other callers, well, actually all of them are what makes your show great. Hey, that being said, Trump calls Senator Pocahontas, which is basically racist, and he mocks disabled people. Those two things alone are, that's... So I'm on...
No, my son will never forgive Donald Trump making fun of the disabled New York Times reporter. I don't remember. My son will never forgive that transgression.
Nobody should ever forgive that. That's about as low as it goes. So I'm on your side, Dom. And but I got to say this: a Congress member has to be careful with Trump, because with Trump it's also about race, and that's what he uses as a wedge issue. I think. Hey, lastly, I'll say this, Crudy. I'll see you in Reedsburg. I think it's on the 8th. And
July 8th, I'll be moderating a gubernatorial candidate forum as long as there's at least a few candidates left. Paul, I think the field will be intact at that time, but what do I know? I'm just a pundit.
Well, I got a name I can pronounce, Kelda, so that's pretty good. But, hey, ending this today, the Cheeto Jesus and Scott Hole, you both suck, and you're GOP snowflakes. And, hey, all your callers out there, keep calling in, because you guys are great. That's what it makes the Devils a great show, so you guys have a great day.
Well, thanks, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. We appreciate it.
Callers are great around here. Present company excluded.
Let's
just
get
messing,
one
Paul.
more in. Hey, Jake, you are next. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us?
Wait.
Jake.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Jake from Milwaukee, you're up, buddy.
You guys are missing the real reason that the owner kicked out the Huckabees. They're not known to be a petite family, if you know what I mean.
Was it an all-you-could-eat?
Food in that plate. I don't know, but they would have ate all the food in that place. You'd have been poor.
Come on.
No,
Are we fat-shaming the president's spokeswoman now?
No, but I know some comedians will tonight. I'm not a small guy myself, so I'm perfectly able to laugh at myself, too. Anyways, I'm with Dom on this one. I think other than the person's home or their children, any public figure, be it a star or especially a politician, is open to being criticized in public. And that includes shunning as well, because, if you want a kind for switch, it would be the people on the left would be abducting Sarah Huckabee's children. Well, that's not exactly happening. So I think she deserves it. And the right-wingers, they're a bunch of victim snowflakes their entire life. Every show is like, oh, poor us. I mean, I can't.
Jake, are you?
So.
I'm sorry, man.
Hello?
I stole your thunder, Jake. I didn't mean to.
Oh, and the last thing is, in the end, these Trump supporters, the ones who still support him, are going to get hurt. Because there's a dairy farmer in Plymouth who's going to see his dairy go out of business because of Trump. He may go to his grave still liking Trump, but his business was destroyed by Trump. So they're going to get their comeuppance. Unfortunately, the rest of us who aren't stupid are going to get them too.
All right, Jake, we appreciate it.
You know what I think? I'm just going to throw something out there and aside, and you can join us on the phones. Few lines open now at 844-967-2789. I read somewhere today. Don't mix business and politics. Well, here's the difference. There are 81 right-wing talk radio stations that are more or less successful in the state of Wisconsin. The righties got no qualms playing politics with their checkbooks. The righties are advertising. The left, we're the ones that are a little too civil, don't want to involve ourselves in such. I've always worn my politics on my sleeve, Dom. I was out doing good business with Republicans all during W's term. And I'd call them out to their faces, and the only reason they'd keep coming back for more punishment is because I'm that good. Come back with us. Don't ask my wife, though. She has a completely differing opinion. Entirely adequate. 844-967-2789. Your calls, welcome here.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
I'm going to say one thing. F*** Trump.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Here at Bounce Milwaukee, we not only want families and friends to build connections, we also want to grow those connections in our community. That's why every Wednesday night from 5 to 8 p.m., we host Refuel the Resistance. It's a great chance to have a drink in our arcade bar, try something from our fantastic restaurant, connect with progressive activists, and support local organizations. For more information about Bounce Milwaukee's Refuel the Resistance, visit us at bouncemilwaukee.com or call 414-312-4357.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open 844-967-2789. Before we get back to the callers, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was at the podium today. Brian did some hard work. Let's bring some of the topical comments from the press secretary. Brian, if you would, let's just blast through them.
Many by now have heard that I was asked to leave a restaurant this weekend where I attempted to have dinner with my family. My husband and I politely left and went home. I was asked to leave because I work for President Trump. A Hollywood actor publicly encouraged people to kidnap my children. And this weekend, a member of Congress called for people to push back and make clear to those serving their country in this administration that they are not welcome anywhere, anytime, for anything. We are allowed to disagree, but we should be able to do so freely and without fear of harm. And this goes for all people regardless of politics. America is a great country, and our ability to find solutions despite those disagreements is what makes us unique. Healthy debate on ideas and political philosophy is important, but the calls for harassment and push for any Trump supporter to avoid the public is unacceptable.
There you go. Sarah Sanders on the topic. Let's get some more callers in. Mark from the SAC, you're up. Thanks for calling, Mark. What do you got today?
Well, that's pretty ironic coming from a supporter of a guy who was telling his supporters to rough up somebody protesting at one of his campaign events.
Amen, brother. In fact, I think I heard him say he'll pay the attorney bills, right?
He'll pay the attorney bills. And I want to, I got picked on a lot when I was in school. I was a smaller kid and all this kind of thing. And and it doesn't do you any good. You run out of cheeks. And that these guys, they don't respect you when you don't stand up to them. I mean, that's where that God bless you, Crute, but I mean, I think that Dom's got a point here that we have to confront these guys, and sometimes confronting them means being impolite. I mean, and I'll never forgive Donald Trump for picking on the disabled guy, because I have a cousin that has some form of autism, and he grew up with that, and he was a different kind of guy, that growing up, he's fully able to function in society now, but we've come light years since then. I mean, and I see your little man standing beside you there when he is standing in for Dom. Kind of probably about the same height as Dom is, but
a little taller. He can dunk on Dom. Both the kids can.
But I mean that these guys, and they defend Donald Trump to the nth degree. They would never condemn Donald Trump for doing what he does on this kind of thing. And maybe it's going over the line to be yelling at these people when they're out eating, but I mean, I don't know what else we can do, because I'm not condemning, I'm not advocating for any kind of violence at all. I mean, for God's sakes, when I was standing in the Capitol singing one time, some guy came up behind me and dropped his shoulder and, hit me in the back with it. And
I'm sorry about that, Mark. I didn't know it was you.
Nice.
No, and I know darn well it wasn't you, but I mean that. And I was hesitant about doing anything about it. But he walked across the floor of the Capitol there and went to shove a woman that's standing across the Capitol there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happened to that guy, because the cops didn't want to give me information on it.
Hey, thanks for the call, Mark. We certainly do appreciate it. And I'm down, man. It's not about physical altercations. It's about standing up for what's right and having them feel a little bit of shame. 844-967-2789. We're coming right back.
So if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you, I will pay for the legal fees. I promise. I promise. There won't be so much, because the courts agree with us, too. What's going on in this country?
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book. Have you ever wished you were someone?
Not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man!
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gosted. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear Brandon Dassey's case. Brandon Dassey was 16 when he confessed to helping his uncle murder photographer Teresa Halbach. The Netflix miniseries Making a Murderer attempted to cast doubt on the conviction of both Dassey and his uncle Stephen Avery. Last year, a Sheboygan County judge denied Avery's request for a new trial. Avery is serving a life sentence without parole, and Dassey is also serving a life sentence with parole eligibility in 2048. Cardinals beat the Crew yesterday 8-2. Brewers are off today, and they pick up again Tuesday afternoon when the Royals come to town. Highs today near 70, overnight lows in the low 60s. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gosted.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. Tom and Crute, the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. I don't know what's going on, gremlins in the Facebook live stream, but we're a radio product. We'll persevere. And also, want to play a little bit of sound. We got callers lining up again. We'll get to you momentarily at 844-967-2789. But I watched me a little Colbert. This, I think, played out on Friday night. Seth Rogen, the fine guest, he's a comedian. And Seth Rogen told a little story about Wisconsin's own Speaker Paul Ryan. And Rogen had been invited to a Mitt Romney event where I think it was on brain health. And Seth Rogen does a lot of charitable work for Alzheimer's. But I think he tells the story well. It's funny. You know, and funny is funny. We'll get back to the phones, as I said, at 844-967-2789, right after we hear from Seth Rogen. If you would, Fancy Brian, cut one.
I was put into a bit of a pickle, wherein at one point, two young, very young, very young white teenage men, think how white they were if I noticed how white they were. Because I'm white.
You're
so
Canadian.
yeah, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
We're the whitest people. And so they asked to take a picture with me. They're maybe like 16, 17. And fans, very nice fans, clearly fans of mine. And then they said, our dad wants to meet you. And I turned around, and Paul Ryan was walking towards me.
Oh, okay. How'd that go?
Well, I didn't. My whole body puckered, as it were. I tensed up. And and I didn't know what to do. And he came over, just grabbed my hand, and I'm just like, I'm shaking his hand. I don't know what to do. And he said, can I have a picture with you? And I look over, and his kids are standing right there, expectantly, clearly fans of mine. And I said, no way, man.
No way, man.
Well, the story gets a little better. Again, Seth Rogen on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert telling a Paul Ryan story. Apparently didn't want to take a selfie with Paul Ryan. If he could, Fancy Brian, play cut 2.
And I couldn't stop. And I said, furthermore, I hate what you're doing to the country at this moment, and I count the days till you no longer have one iota of the power that you currently have. And I look over and his kids are still standing right there. And I feel very conflicted about this at this moment.
Because it's not their fault.
It's not their fault, but at the same time, they should probably learn that if they like a movie or song, the person who made that probably doesn't like their dad that much. Unless they were watching, like, Roseanne reruns or something like that, then maybe. But in that instance, so I felt very, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad I didn't take a picture with Paul Ryan. My hand feels, I touched him, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Yes.
You touched Trump.
He touched me, and then he won the presidency.
You gave him a bump? You are to blame, Dominic.
All right, so it was Seth Rogen wrong?
No.
Why?
Well, that's an ask of him. And if Paul Ryan
but then he
or Donald Trump...
He didn't just say no and politely walked away. He went on and told him how he felt.
So what?
So is that bad?
That is different than seeking someone out at a restaurant while they're eating food with their family.
They're in public. So what?
And heckling them.
So what? Well, how is it different? You're expressing an opinion.
You approach me, I can say whatever the hell I want because you've approached me.
Okay. Wait a minute. What is it about being in public and being approached or not being approached that makes it any different?
I tell you what, when I'm out in private, but, in public with my family, if I'm having dinner, do not approach me. Don't approach me.
If you're ripping kids away from their parents at the border and blaming it on everybody else.
Okay,
and
Sarah Huckabee
Sanders. Let me just finish that. I mean, I'm not clear at what point, I don't want to use you because I know you're not doing that, but if somebody is doing something like that and that's not worthy of approaching and mocking and shaming, what
you're going to shame the ICE agents as well? Are you going to shame the ICE agents?
Sure.
So you're going to follow ICE agents around?
No, I'm not going to follow. Know who the ICE agents are.
If you see a guy wearing an ICE windbreaker going out for lunch right here next door at the restaurant on Brady Street.
If I'm so inclined, absolutely. Yes. That's my answer. Yes, Crudy. Yes. At what point can you then? If not
when
now,
he approaches you and says, "Can I see your papers?"
Come on.
You look like you don't belong. You might be, based on stature, I'd say Guatemala.
844-967-2789. Give us a call. Let's see. I'm not clear who's next here. Let's go down the list.
There's a batting order there on the right. See,
I know, but
stacking them up.
I know they're getting here. I think it is Lonnie from New Mexico. You've been holding the longest.
You won the lottery, Lonnie. Welcome.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I mean, it's like a wah, smallest fiddle playing, all that other stuff. This administration is crazy. They got 90% approval rating, and the Republicans, they need to stay with the Republicans because that 10% of people that don't like him, they're going to let them know. I mean, a business has the right to.
Lonnie, are you going to confine their food choices to Waffle Houses?
No, I'm going to confine their food choices to McDonald's. Eat what the president's eating. Waffle House is too much.
I'm loving it, Lonnie. I'm loving it.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, hey, they created this problem for themselves. Maybe their ratings of 40-some% approval rate. Maybe his actual approval rating is maybe 12%, but to just make himself look big and bad with the GPP numbers and all that other stuff, let's just inflate him. I mean, there's no written documentation showing that any of this stuff is really on the rise. As for people working and they're always running back to the black person having a job, it's like, oh my God, really?
So, Lonnie, let me ask you specifically, man, if you saw Sarah Huckabee Sanders in a restaurant, and would you approve or disapprove if someone went and heckled her?
I join them. I ain't gonna lie.
Lonnie, thanks for listening, man. What an infectious laugh, much like your own, Dominic. 844-967-2789. I found a very funny meme. I'm going to show it to you, Dom. It's like a movie poster. She went to work for the devil. It's Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's pulling back on a bow and arrow.
The Hunger Games picture.
Now it's harder than hell to get a sandwich. The Hunger Games. Catching dinner.
844-967-2789.
I got to think, for a girl like Sarah, prodigious eater, I got to think, hunger's going to set in. She's going to get hangry up there.
Don't let her get hangry. Ignacio, you're next. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got today?
Nacho.
Just two things. Just when you think it can't get any worse, and number two, is this guy qualified? Let's start with the number two first.
Which guy are we talking about?
This guy,
Trump?
The president. Who else, man?
Well, maybe Dominic. I didn't know.
What other idiot we got in the White House? Come on, dude. Seriously, this guy is not qualified to be president. I'll tell you why. A businessman is always 6 to 10 steps ahead. He's always planning, always thinking. This guy doesn't think. He went and instituted a policy that is going to put more people on the border, more people in custody, more this, that, and the other. Did he plan for any of this? Hell no, he didn't. He didn't plan for any of the overflow, anything, because when you do 100% prosecution of people, there's going to be a lot of people. He did not plan for that. Did he plan for the housing of the kids? No. Did he plan for this? No, he did not. So he's an idiot. He's not qualified to be the president of the
you
United
presume
States.
he cares about the outcome. Ignacio, this was all about ginning up support. Red meat for the base. This is a political exercise. Every day that he governs is a reality show, and he's getting great ratings. That's his only metric.
Yeah, but it still shows. He still shows he's not qualified. Now, just when you think it can't get any worse, he tweets, and I get up this morning and I hear that he says, "We don't need no judges. We don't need this. We can just send them all back."
No, dude.
Since when did we become a third world country? We're supposed to be about the Constitution of the United States. At least that's what I was raised with, knowing, supposedly.
You don't need no due process, Ignacio.
Well, everybody's supposed to have due process.
Due process is for
us
white
to
people,
become
apparently,
like
my
Guatemala.
friend.
But look, he says, well, we don't need to be like Guatemala. Guess what? When you act like that, you act like Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
You act like Honduras. You act like Panama. You act like Nicaragua. What the hell is wrong with him, man? He's a... Well, never mind. I almost said it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Hey, thanks so much, Ignacio. Always appreciate it. 844-967-2789. Want to keep going? Or you want to jump in?
Yeah,
there?
let's take another call.
All right, Kurt from Madison, you are next. Thanks for calling, Kurt. What do you got?
Kurt.
Oh, Dom's right to start.
Well, now you've insulted me.
Thanks for the call, Kurt.
And kudos to Lonnie. I say make all the Republicans eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's every day so they can find out what the real wrath of bad food is.
How is that different than their current dieting choices?
Yeah. Well, the little clip you did of Sarah Wannabe, she basically confirmed what they, constantly deny. We know they deny all the time and lie, but she talked about philosophy and practices and politics. It should be a debate. It shouldn't be, she stated then what his practice and policy is. It's hatred, bigotry, chronic lying, and belittling disabled, and incarcerating or kidnapping children. So, yeah, you are hated. And I would get up and say, so is that your policy and philosophy then? Because that isn't what the country was set up to be as an institution, from give us your weak, your weary, and all the rest of it. And one other comment. I'm curious to know what your cohort's going to have to say about it. If I was stationed in Texas in the Army and I was assigned to look over children, I would flat out tell my commander, no way in hell. Because I swore to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And enemy number one of this country right now is going down, and that's our president and all his cohorts underneath him.
Yeah, but unless you plan on charging the White House, Kurt, I would probably follow the orders of my chain of command, only in that, it'd be different if he said walk him to the gas chambers. No one's implying that, but sure, I would refuse that less than lawful command. But if you said, and I was in the military in Texas, I was a medic. A guy like me could have caught duty like that. If you told me, go take care of these children, I'm going to go take care of some children.
Well, I'm not talking medic. That's a little bit different. But when you're talking about guards, first of all, the policy is being violated with the children being put on military bases because Tom Harmon went over this very thoroughly. They're asking for asylum. The laws state they get to be heard and all this, not put in camps. This all started with Trump.
Sure, it did.
So yeah, if I was a medic, I agree. If health was involved, absolutely, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But when it comes to walking a line and guarding a perimeter, no way.
Well, thank you for the call, Kurt. Appreciate your contribution. We got other callers. We're going to keep moving. But I don't think you can expect the private, the specialist, the soldier on the ground to resist the chain of command. But if you're Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you can quit that bad job.
Yeah, right.
You can walk away, right?
Right now.
And in fact, I read something over the weekend. It did encourage me somewhat. Those leaving the Trump administration, once upon a time, being a part of any administration, that was a big resume builder.
A door opener.
Yes. You got a good job, a plum job, maybe a K Street job, a multi-million-dollar job.
Now you can't even get a date.
No. No wonder why they're so angry, those Republicans. They're all pent up. 844-967-2789. David from Mequon. David, welcome back, man. What's your thought today?
Hey, listen, a couple of comments. One, I would not be the type of person I would go out and heckle somebody else just for the sake of heckling, even though I understand where Dom is coming from and, his position, but I don't feel that moves the narrative forward because, again, there's a way of doing it. As far as, I guess, through the voting booth as to what the whole process is and, maybe go to a judge or something, whatever. I don't think that really accomplishes much.
If I may jump in, David, and I understand that, but I don't think that's necessarily the goal, man. The goal is to make him feel shame. To make him feel like, you know what, maybe the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm saying, the way I'm acting, while maybe legal and supported by my, little circle and imposed upon me by my boss, that, other people may take exception to that and to have them feel uncomfortable. That's the point.
Well, there was pushback, as you know. Maxine Waters called for kind of the same thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And both Democrats and Republicans pushed back against her because, when you get into this situation, and I will say this, it's been very overt with President Trump, but we're now almost to the point of complete chaos. We're almost at each other's throats. And again, it's like, we had a civil war in this country for a different reason. I don't want to see the country get ripped apart with another civil war based on what's happening. We have to start to ratchet it down a little bit.
What about the policies, though, David? Should you, as a reasonable, relatively conservative guy, my impression, shouldn't you be standing up to the policy saying this is not right? You can say it in a very civil way. You can write a letter to the editor. You can just tell your neighbors in Mequon. But ultimately, David, doesn't it take guys like you doing your part as well?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I actually call congressmen, my senators, both local and nationally, they may pass the message on. But I have gotten some calls back actually in the past for bringing up certain things. So it's not frequent, but it's better than not doing anything.
Well, I can tell you, my wife tried calling Ron Johnson's office. He was not taking any calls, not in regard to Obamacare, repeal and replace. And he is supportive of Trump's border policies, Ron Johnson. Anyways.
I have yet to hear back from my state senator, Alberta Darling, after my multiple requests last week. I've yet to hear back from Jim Ott. I've yet to hear back from Governor Scott Walker.
Well, I've got some
and
response from Scott Walker. Maybe we should bring that back. Time for a little Walker bashing right here on the Devil's Advocates. More of your calls as well. 844-967-2789.
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
I find it sexy.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The Western Scrub Jay. I was taking my science class on a virtual reality bird-watching expedition. All of a sudden, Charlie Kane shouts, "Arr! Arr!" He had spotted the elusive black swift, a bird rarely seen in the wild. For a brief moment, Charlie had not the eyes of a 9-year-old boy. He had the eyes of an eagle.
Teachers just have better work stories. Find out how creative teaching can be at teachdfw.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming on the YouTube and Facebook pages, on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line, 844-967-2789. Talk or text.
Dominic, you know who is a profile in courage? Gubernator Scott Walker.
Yeah, come on.
Madison. Patrick Marley, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Governor Scott Walker is telling his backers it's essential to protect the U.S. border with Mexico, but is refusing to say what he thinks of President Donald Trump's immigration policies and proposals. Little Facebook ad the Wankinator ran over the weekend. Sign up if you support the National Guard defending the southern border.
Give me your email.
Little image of the border wall, but Walker won't say what he thinks of Trump's immigration policies that have drawn controversy. Governor Scott Walker, he declined repeatedly, that courageous, unintimidated governor, to say whether he supported Trump's decision to separate and detain the families of immigrants before Trump ended the practice last week. And today, Walker refused to say what he thought of Trump's weekend pronouncement on Twitter that illegal immigrants should be thrown out of the country without due process. You don't have an opinion on due process, Walker? Here's his quote. It's out of my jurisdiction.
It's above my pay grade.
He deflected questions just after discussing his views on international tariffs.
What? International tariffs?
Another issue he has no control over. He said he was willing to talk about tariffs because they affect Wisconsin businesses.
Due process doesn't affect Wisconsin?
I've got my hands full with things here in Wisconsin. Sure you do. Meaning a re-election campaign. That's my point is I could comment on every single thing in the federal government. It might be good for media, for stories.
Well,
but that's not what I'm elected to do. I'm elected to lead the state of Wisconsin and focus on things that need to be done here. Folks, we are the devil's advocates. Scott Wanker.
Yes, harass that man.
I think that would be...
Shame.
Okay, I'm all down.
You're down?
Publicly shame Scott Walker if you feel it's necessary. Come back with us. That's absolutely a requirement. And you can join us on the phone. That's optional. 844-967-2789.
If I can take on 100,000 protesters, I can do the same across the world.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
White flag surprise, borderline break. I'm Jan Johnson.
Wall Street took it on the chin today after the iconic American brand Harley-Davidson announced it would go outside the country for some production to dodge retaliatory European tariffs. President Trump on Twitter just now says he's surprised Harley would be, as he put it, the first to wave the white flag. But correspondent Richard Quest tells us the motorcycle maker faces a tough choice.
It can either absorb that $2,000 tariff into its profits and cut its margins, or it passes it on to the consumer, which of course would mean lower sales, or it makes the bikes somewhere else. And Harley has spare capacity, either in Australia, in Thailand, in Brazil, where those bikes would not be subject.
The tariffs concerns rippled throughout the markets, and by the close, the Dow had lost 328 points today. The head of Customs and Border Protection says he had to call a temporary halt to prosecuting illegal border crossers with children because President Trump ordered an end to family separations. But at the White House, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the administration's policy remains zero tolerance.
The president certainly supports keeping families together, which he has outlined several times over the last week, but he's also called on Congress to actually fix the system. They're the only ones that ultimately have the ability to change the law.
Sanders today also called attention to the Virginia restaurateur who asked her to leave. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters says others should follow that lead with all Trump officials. But the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, says he's got a better idea.
The best solution is to win elections. That is a far more productive way to channel the legitimate frustrations with this president's policies than harassing members of his administration.
California's governor has declared a state of emergency north of San Francisco, a wildfire chasing 3,000 from their homes. I'm Jan Johnson.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Baseball's championship series is about to get underway in Omaha. We get a preview from TJ Cottini.
The pitch from Mulholland. And a bouncing ball to the shortstop. Grenier goes to second for the force. And the Oregon State Beavers come all the way back.
As heard on Westwood One Sports, Oregon State's run through the losers bracket in Omaha was history-making. They'll try to become just the 7th team to win it all after losing their first College World Series game as they take on Arkansas in the best-of-3 championship series, which gets underway tonight. For the Razorbacks, they'll try for their first ever baseball national championship in a series that'll feature 17 players who were selected in the MLB draft earlier this month. I'm TJ Coutini.
Pot is still illegal under federal law, but federal health regulators have just approved the first prescription drug made from marijuana. The FDA approved a syrup made from cannabis to reduce seizures in children who suffer from 2 rare forms of epilepsy. I'm Jan Johnson.
What is it?
Five9, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy Five9s.com.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate, and they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99%.
Overseas to Europe,
Trump administration has put a tariff on European steel and aluminum, and in retaliation, the EU is placing tariffs on American products. The tariff on motorcycles from the U.S. jumped from 6% to 31%. The company says it expects the cost of a bike to rise an additional $2,200 due to tariffs. Paul Ryan has endorsed Leah Vukmir over Kevin Nicholson in the race for U.S. Senate. Vukmir has recently been shown to be trailing Nicholson, according to Marquette University Law School poll. Highs today near 70, overnight lows in the low 60s. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gostad.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Down and we're sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour here on Brady Street. And we're going to turn topically just a skosh.
Just a smidgen.
Just a skosh. Our friend Mark Pocan, a recent guest, a frequent guest, a friend of ours, to introduce legislation to abolish ICE. According to our friend Jesse Apoyan at the Cap Times, I'll read from this article. It's a brief one. After visiting the U.S.-Mexico border, where President Donald Trump's administration has enforced a controversial zero-tolerance policy for migrant families attempting to enter the United States, Rep. Mark Pocan is introducing legislation to abolish Immigration and Customs and Enforcement, or ICE. Pocan, a Madison area Democrat, said Monday he plans to introduce the legislation this week. His proposal would dismantle ICE and create a commission to offer recommendations to Congress for the implementation of a humane immigration enforcement system. A quote, Dom. During my trip to the southern border, it was clear that ICE and its actions of hunting down and tearing apart families has wreaked havoc on far too many people, Pocan said in a statement. From conducting raids at garden centers and meat packing plants to breaking up families at churches and schools, ICE is tearing families apart and ripping at the moral fabric of our nation. Unfortunately, President Trump and his team of white nationalists, strong words, Mark, including Stephen Miller, have so misused ICE that the agency can no longer accomplish its goals effectively. Last week, the president signed an executive order to effectively end the controversial practice of separating children from their detained parents at the border. Calls to abolish ICE have not resonated throughout the political left wing in its entirety. In Sunday morning interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, #FeelTheBurn, an independent who ran for president as a Democrat in 2016, evaded a question about the agency and, in effect, declined to call for its abolishment. Other Democrats have argued that the most serious problem with ICE stemmed from a lack of border reforms to the country's immigration system. Pocan is the first Wisconsin elected official to call for the agency's end, but not the first Democrat in the state to do so. Iron worker Randy Bryce, one of 2 candidates running for the state's 1st congressional district, did so in early April. Randy Ironstash Bryce. Mark Pocan says, let's throw out ICE, a novel concept with 0% chance of passage.
Well, I think certainly Congress needs to take a look at continuing. I mean, this is a continuum improvement process, right? And I don't disagree necessarily that the way ICE has been used and the way that this administration has used them, that they are going to continue to be effective. Mark does use some very strong words, but ultimately there's still going to be some sort of immigration enforcement around. I don't see that ever going away, maybe just not in the current form.
Now, wasn't Speaker Paul Ryan, Wisconsin's own, supposed to push forth some sort of comprehensive immigration reform bill this week? And then Trump tweeted at him and he ran cravingly scared for the exit.
Well, the conservative bill got defeated last week, and then they were going to vote on the second
and then
bill.
They punted.
And that's the last we've heard of it.
And that's the last we've heard of it.
Happy
So
Monday.
No resolutions coming from Speaker Ryan's leadership.
Yeah.
Anyways, Paul Ryan wanted to keep the topic, here in Wisconsin. According to Mark Sommerhauser at the Madison.com, Wisconsin State Journal, Paul Ryan endorses Nurse Ratched in the GOP U.S. primary, or as they write it in the headline, Leah Buchmer.
They got it wrong.
Her other name. She embraces Nurse Ratched.
She does. Ryan, a Republican from Janesville, and the dean of Wisconsin's U.S. Brookfield State Senator, faces fellow Republican Kevin Nicholson, a Delafield management consultant and political newcomer in the GOP primary.
And he's leading her in the most recent Marquette University Law School polling. The only difference I see between the two campaigns, he's buying radio ads.
Spending lots of money on radio. A separate statement from Ryan called Buchmer a longtime friend, a conservative ally, and the right person to take on Tammy Baldwin this fall.
She will shoot Tammy Baldwin in the face if necessary.
Leah has proven that she's committed to expanding opportunity and challenging the status quo, and our state deserves that kind of leadership in the Senate, Ryan said. The endorsements from Ryan and Sensenbrenner, who's also been there way too long, further solidify the backing of the state's Republican establishment for Buchmer. She won the endorsement of the Republican Party of Wisconsin delegates at the state convention last month. Nicholson has touted himself as a political outsider and sought to frame his lack of support from the Wisconsin GOP elected officials as an asset. In a 2017 recording from a Jefferson County GOP event, Nicholson said Ryan, quote, has a light footprint in our state, unquote, and criticized him for not sufficiently supporting Trump. Nicholson's endorsements include U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Mike Lee of Utah.
Nothing but, the craziest of the fringe?
Of course, Ryan is not seeking re-election this fall after 2 decades in Congress. While his overall favorability has dipped in the Trump era, Ryan remains overwhelmingly popular with Republican-leaning voters in Wisconsin, the latest Marquette Law School poll found. It has 73% of Republicans and Republican-leaning respondents saying they viewed Ryan favorably, with 16% unfavorable and 11% saying they don't know or are undecided.
Isn't Trump at 90% with Republicans right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I realize that might not be the reflection of the most recent Marquette University Law School polling,
but nationally.
But self-described Republicans love them some Trump.
Yes,
how can you both love Trump and the craven coward Paul Ryan?
In the Marquette poll released last week, Nicholson held a narrow but tightening lead over Buchmer in the primary, 37-32, with 30% of the GOP respondents uncommitted. Both Republicans trailed Baldwin in a hypothetical general election matchup. Democratic Party Wisconsin spokesman Brad Bainham said Ryan embodies the worst of Washington's corporate special interest corruption, so it's no surprise he wants Leah Buchmer elected to the U.S. Senate.
Tell you what, let's take an early break here. You can always join us in the happy hour, especially at 844-967-2789. Dom, I don't know if you know, but Scott Walker was quick to jump on this newest proposal for Wisconsin. The Supreme Court has ruled that states may collect taxation, sales tax on internet commerce. So Scott Walker wants a piece of that. But he feels like we've got to have an offsetting tax cut somewhere. And I'm thinking,
didn't we already do that?
Are the billionaires paying any taxes? How are you going to give them more tax cuts just so you can stick it to people trying to do internet commerce?
Didn't they already underestimate what the manufacturer and agricultural tax credit amount would be?
Only by half. It's supposed to be $150 million annually. It's like $350 million annually.
All right, so maybe they could use this tax revenue to fill that hole that they've never, ever, ever addressed, which is really ironic coming from, fiscal conservatives.
Well, they could lower the manufacturing and agribusiness tax rate from 0.4%
to
what?
0.004%.
The billionaires need more tax cuts. And it'll all trickle down to the rest of us.
Yeah, it's not working.
Or at least Scott Walker's campaign coffers. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates right here on Brady, 844-967-2789.
I want to thank the President of the United States for his steadfast leadership.
Aren't you ashamed?
I'm really proud of what we've been able to do.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Always streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Whenever live, you can get us on Twitter at Devil Radio. And if you missed any of this fine program, you want to go back and relive all the genius and greatness, you can download and listen to podcasts or interviews at domandcroot.com.
Dominic, I pointed out Scott Walker gets elected primarily due to the fact he's a corrupt SOB and right-wing talk radio, I suspect. But his governance policy's asinine. I mean, really? This newest headline is a head-scratcher because it doesn't make any frickin' sense. Governor Scott Walker. Wisconsin will collect online sales taxes and then cut other taxes by the same amount. Then why go through the exercise? You know what I mean? Why disrupt the process? Why create a new tax on online sales? And I know his asinine explanation, but then get back any new tax revenues. What, we don't have any Scott holes we could fill?
Well, it just gives him the opportunity to once again showcase that he's all about against raising taxes.
Then why even involve yourself in the process?
Because you get a headline like, I'm going to cut taxes by the same amount that you're going to read.
According to Patrick Marley, Governor Scott Walker signaled Monday the state would start collecting sales tax for internet purchases, but offset any new money with asinine cuts to other taxes by the same amount. It shouldn't be a tax increase. It should be leveling the playing field for retailers and other operations in the state. The U.S. Supreme Court last week ruled states could collect taxes for online sales far more broadly than had been allowed under a 1992 decision. Wisconsin could take in $123 to $187 million a year from online sales tax, according to a 2017 review by the U.S. Government Accountability Office. The GOP governor told reporters he favored collecting the money, but wanted to tie it to tax cuts of the same size so the state doesn't take in more money overall, which is completely, Dominic, to my opinion, asinine.
Yeah, we don't need any money, right? The roads are totally fine. We got so much money, hell, we're going to give it $4.5 billion to Foxconn. I mean, we're flush.
He's thinking another, breeder bribe between here and Election Day?
Wisconsin's sales tax is 5%. Milwaukee County and 65 other counties charge a 0.5% sales tax, and some special tax districts, such as one for Miller Park, charge a 0.1 sales tax. In 2013, Walker lawmakers adopted a budget provision that said if the state started collecting online sales taxes, it would cut income taxes by a like amount. Walker and Revenue Secretary Rick Chandler said they are reviewing whether the court decision triggers that provision in state law. If it does, the state will begin collecting online sales taxes and reduce income taxes. If it doesn't, Walker said he would likely include a provision in the next state budget to collect the online sales tax and offset them with tax cuts, possibly aimed at parents or senior citizens.
Breeder bonus, breeder bribe. What makes him think that he's still going to have the right to put forth a budget from some two-bedroom apartment he's got to rent next year?
One way or the other, we want to give that back to the hardworking taxpayers of the state, he said. How we do that, I think, will be part of a larger discussion later this summer, going into the fall for the next state budget. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said he believed the court decision would trigger the state law that would result in lower income taxes. If it doesn't automatically do that, he said he would like to adopt an income tax cut or another broad-based tax reduction rather than one targeted for specific taxpayers. If the legislature must act on the issue, it probably wouldn't happen until after the fall elections. 8 Democrats are running in the August 14 primary to challenge Walker this fall, and if one of them won, they would have a say in how to handle the issue. In 92, the Supreme Court ruled states could collect online taxes only for retailers who have a connection to the state, such as a physical presence. Last week's 5-4 decision reversed that finding and said states could broadly collect sales taxes on internet purchases.
You want to hear another troubling story from the Journal Sentinel Online? A new poll shows how a small group of ticket splitters could help reelect both Walker and Tammy Baldwin.
What?
A new poll showing both Republican Governor Scott Walker and Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin leading their re-election races adds fuel to a tantalizing scenario Wisconsin hasn't seen in 20 years. Are there enough ticket splitters left in this polarized state to produce a split outcome at the top of the ticket this fall? God, tell me that is not the case. Here's how it could happen based on a Wisconsin survey of 800 registered voters, the Marquette University Law School poll. Republican Walker led 10 different Democrats for governor in the poll by margins of 2, 4, 4, 4, 5, 8, 9, 9, 11, and 13 points. Andy Gronick and Dana Wachs have, dropped out respectively since that time. Democratic Baldwin led her two possible GOP opponents for Senator, Leah Nurse Ratchet Vukmir and Kevin Nicholson, by margins of 9 and 11 points. A small but decisive cohort of voters in the poll split their tickets, making it possible for two incumbents in opposing parties to both come out on top. But how big is this group of ticket splitters? At a reporter's request, Marquette provided a breakdown of their polling numbers to see how many people would divide their support for governor and U.S. senator if the election were held today. For the analysis, we looked at Walker's general election matchup against the best-known Democrat and leader in the party's field, State Superintendent Tony Evers, a matchup Walker led 48-44. And we compared how people would vote in a Walker's-Evers race for governor with how they'd vote for the two potential Senate matchups, Baldwin v. Nicholson, Baldwin versus Vukmir. The data showed 16% of people who chose Walker over Evers also chose Baldwin in at least one of her two Senate matchups. 16% of those polled support both Walker and Baldwin. Those are incongruent thoughts. And 15% of the people who chose Baldwin over Nicholson or Vukmir also chose Walker over Evers. A small fraction of voters split their tickets the other way against both Walker and Baldwin. All told, these Walker-Baldwin ticket splitters made up 8% of registered voters in the survey. That's similar to the share of voters in the poll, 7%, who said they had positive feelings about both Walker and Baldwin. What the hell's wrong with those people, Dom? Some people may be surprised there are any ticket splitters left in Wisconsin.
Right.
But let's not forget, back in 1988, 23% of Wisconsin voters split their tickets for president and senator, according to exit polls. 98, 22% split. In 2006, 16% split. But let's not forget, Tommy Thompson and Russ Feingold were on the very same ballot, and they were both elected.
Wow.
Tommy Thompson, Russ Feingold. It could happen, Dom. Just tell me that's not a possibility.
We must not be doing our job.
We're not. Not if Scott Walker is still a viable candidate who's above 0 in approval rating. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Our approval rating, 110%. 844-967-2789. Your calls welcome now.
Oh, they drove a dump truck full of money up to my house. I'm not
specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy59s.com.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Josh Kaul, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, my name is Keith Gostad. A town hall event held by students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School drew around 500 people this weekend at the Wisconsin Center. Before the Milwaukee event, students stopped at Hausman's. The students also visited Madison for a rally and voter registration drive. Kenosha received $900,000 in grants and has elected to use $384,000 of it on gunshot detection systems. The Kenosha Unified School District will be installing gunfire sensors in its 43 schools. The Eagle systems are designed to alert police of shots being fired and activates surveillance cameras near the location to live stream the scene to authorities. The sensors can also lock doors after detecting gunshots.
Ass, grass, or cash, nobody rides for free. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Apparently, Harley Davidson, a fine motorcycle and brand incorporation, they have drawn the ire of Donald Trump.
Uh-oh.
Well, we try to do that each and every day right here on the Devil's Advocates, and, you can join us in sticking Donald Trump right in the eye with a sharp stick at 844-967-2789. Rhetorically speaking, let's get to the phones. We got a pal waiting. It's our friend Betsy from Madison. How you been, Betsy?
Hey, you guys. I've been better. It's really hard to keep fighting when it's insanity every day, and sadness and grief, and we are in a constitutional crisis. I mean, people are working so hard, and they don't have time to pay attention to the politics, and a lot of them have a lot of disdain for it. I mean, they really don't know what's going on, and I mean, I drive my family crazy. I mean, Paul Ryan came out to dinner out there in his neighborhood, and people respect him. And I said, thank God I wasn't there. I would have made a scene, which my mother hates. Never make a scene. It's that old school kind of thinking. I mean, so
it's that old school thinking that says, keep your head down, listen to authority, never talk back. And you know what? I never bought it then, and I don't buy it as an adult. And I think with all these things going on, with Donald Trump out there throwing these bombs every single day, Trump.
People are getting angry, though, and it is showing. And so in some general, icky way, Walker's right, that we've had it. And
we become the angry liberals he characterizes us to be.
We are angry, and that is the truth. And I am afraid Scott Walker's going to win again because he never won any of those elections. He rigged them. with voter suppression, voter ID, throwing people off the voter rolls. I mean, I could pull my hair out. People really don't like to talk about politics. It's just something they don't want to think about. They want to be in their own little world, their own little bubble. All is well. I mean, we do have white privilege.
Well,
and,
guess what?
As long as it doesn't affect them.
Betsy, guess
fine.
what? A bunch of farmers, I appreciate the call, Betsy, a bunch of Wisconsinites, Harley Davidson enthusiasts, we cannot hide our heads in the sand and say, well, you know, that's the brown people. They're taking the brown people's kids. They're the aliens, I believe Kirsten Nielsen described those children as, the aliens. Well, even, you know, the white suburbanite, whitey-righty Wisconsinites right here in our own state, you can't ignore when Donald Trump crashes the markets like began happening today, fell below the 200-day moving average.
Oh, it did.
For everyone that watches the markets really close, that gets to be a big deal.
Yeah.
That starts triggering sell-offs. That starts, I mean, we're right on the verge of correction territory. The Dow off 328 points today. Why? Because Trump's trade war. Now, white privilege will not keep you from being affected by a trade war. Look at the gas prices. You don't think we've seen a spike in gas prices? I commute each way each day. It's gone way up. I'd say 30% or more. Well, that was just his flippant withdrawal from the Iran deal. Of course, that was to the benefit of Putin, his real, you know, master. But other than to increase the price of crude oil, which really good for the Russians, but really bad for the American consumers. Well, that's a direct cause and effect of Donald Trump's policy. Now we see the markets crashing because of his threatened tariffs. And in fact, Harley Davidson has drawn the ire of Donald Trump because they're going to offshore, right, Dom? They're moving offshore in direct response, they claim, to the tariffs that Donald Trump has roiled the markets with.
Well, and then the European Union and other countries have pushed back with their own tariffs. From the Journal Sentinel, Rick Bikes. Hours after the announcement, President Donald Trump issued a tweet that chastised the world's largest manufacturer of heavyweight motorcycles. And here's the tweet. Surprised that Harley Davidson, of all companies, would be the first to wave the white flag. I fought hard for them, and ultimately, they will not pay tariffs selling into the EU, which has hurt us badly on trade, down $151 billion. Taxes just a Harley excuse. Be patient. #mega. Harley said the impact of the 31% tariffs, up from 6% previously, could be $100 million per year on the company, roughly $2,200 per motorcycle.
Over $2,000 in new inflation on a Harley Davidson. I'm sure that won't affect sales, Dom.
Harley Davidson believes the tremendous cost increase if passed on to its dealers and retail customers would have an immediate and lasting detrimental impact to its business in the region, reducing customer access to Harley Davidson products and negatively impacting the sustainability of its dealers' businesses, the company said in the Securities and Exchange Commission filing. About 16% of all new Harley-Davidson motorcycles are sold in Europe, a figure that's been steady and is second in revenue only to the U.S. market. Europe has been a bright spot recently with healthy retail sales growth of late, said motorcycle industry analyst Sharon Zakfia of William Blair & Company. The opportunity for Harley in Europe are significant, but so is the competition from European and Japanese motorcycle makers that aren't subject to the steep tariffs and the European Union slapped on new bikes from the U.S. on Friday. It's hard to run a business when the rules keep changing, said industry analyst Craig Kennison with Milwaukee-based Robert W. Baird. Harley plans to open a motorcycle assembly plant in Thailand this year, as the tariff on motorcycles assembled in the U.S. is about 60% in Thailand, according to the company, and they already have plants in India and Brazil.
Well, if you don't have a hog, you better get one now.
Let's see what else. Harley-Davidson's announcement today is the latest slap in the face of the loyal, highly skilled workforce that made Harley an iconic American brand. Harley pounced on news released Friday regarding EU tariffs on Harley motorcycles, and the company will be implementing plans to offshore more production, said Robert Martinez, president of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, which represents the Kansas City plant's workforce, of course, that plant being shuttered. This latest move is in keeping with Harley's past decisions to open plants outside of North America. So there you go. But trade wars are easy, right? Trade wars are easy to win. And now, if Harley doesn't move manufacturing, they're going to have to increase the prices on their bikes by $2,200?
Well, here's the good news, Dom. Poor people don't have stock portfolios. You'll be unaffected.
Oh, right. And I don't have a Harley-Davidson. So, but this is, lots of local people here in Milwaukee. This is a huge company. Lots of people
Iconic.
are impacted.
They're having their big anniversary party
115th, man. Brady Street's going to be off the hook in August when the 115th comes rolling to town. This whole entire 10-block strip will be nothing but bikes.
And biker chicks?
Lots of biker chicks. And biker dudes.
And biker dudes. Mostly on Harleys, though, right?
Mostly Harleys. No, there'll be other bikes
Few
as well.
Indians.
No, but mostly Harleys. But again, Donald Trump tweeting out specifically to Harley.
Dominic, if it's not troubling to our conservative friends that this iconic corporation known with Wisconsin, of course, they're targeted specifically because it's Paul Ryan's district. Kind of, sort of. Wisconsin, his home state. But if that doesn't get you, if you go, my wife won't let me ride a motorcycle, doesn't
it's probably a good idea.
Feel like I'm the right guy for that machine.
Balance and
I
all
got a
that.
Convertible. I do okay in that.
Need 4 wheels on the ground, man.
Makes me look skinnier. I've always said that.
Yeah.
But if the Harley news does not get you, this might.
What?
Trump's trade war could shut cheese makers out of foreign markets. They're going after the cheese.
That is just
Look
wrong.
at the look on Brian's face.
I know, Brian.
He's devastated.
From my cold, dead hands.
They will take the Colby from my cold, dead hands.
I prefer a nice aged Gouda, but that's just me.
Anna Swanson at the New York Times. Plymouth, Wisconsin, the byline here, Dom. It's a common observation here that you can't turn off the cows, not for Christmas and not for a trade war. So as President Trump's aggressive trade measures prompt other countries to retaliate with barriers to American goods, dairy farmers and cheesemakers in the rolling, bright green hills of Wisconsin are growing anxious about what will happen to all the milk and cheese they churn out and typically sell overseas. Scott Walker wouldn't talk about evolution, but he'd talk about Wisconsin cheese in his last foreign trip on the taxpayer's dollar, right?
Yep.
Here's a quote. If export markets get shut off, I could see us getting to the point where we're dumping our milk in the fields, says Jeff Schwager, the president of Sartori Company, which has produced cheese in a nearby town for generations with milk it purchases from more than 100 dairy farms throughout Wisconsin. It'll be a big ripple effect throughout the state. Mr. Trump has set off trade clashes with countries around the world, demanding new trade agreements and slapping tariffs on allies to reset what he says are deeply unfair terms that hurt American companies and workers. He has singled out certain American industries that he says are at a global disadvantage, including automobiles and dairy, which led to a public spat between Mr. Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over Canada's dairy tariffs. The president's trade approach stems from his campaign promise to revive American industry, particularly manufacturing, by putting America first. That promise helped propel Mr. Trump into office. But the ramifications of the president's protectionist approach are beginning to be felt in the towns and counties that elected him as the downsides become more evident than any upside.
For domestic cheesemakers like Sartori, Mr. Trump's approach has further tilted the global playing field against American manufacturers, giving them an even deeper climb into an increasingly competitive global economy. The dairy industry now faces substantial tariffs on products it exports as Mexico, Canada, and other countries retaliate against Mr. Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs. American exporters also fear that they could lose access to Canada and Mexico if the president goes ahead with his threat to withdrawal from NAFTA. And they are finding themselves at an increasing disadvantage as other countries move ahead with trade agreements that grant each other freer access to their markets while Trump further isolates the United States. In counties like Sheboygan, where Plymouth is located, that helped sweep Mr. Trump into the White House, and many people in Plymouth are still staunch supporters of the president. But many differ with his negative views on global trade, which has generally been good for the dairy industry.
They can hear us in Sheboygan there, hey, on the 1510 AM WRRD signal, Dom.
NAFTA, which the president often calls the worst trade deal ever, has given the industry a valuable foothold in Mexico. That country is now America's largest export market for cheese, absorbing more than a quarter of all the cheese that leaves the United States. Dairy farmers and cheesemakers generally supported the Trans-Pacific Partnership, 12-nation pact that Mr. Trump withdrew from in his first days in office, which would have opened up valuable new markets, including Japan. They have watched woefully as other countries move ahead without the United States signing trade agreements that cut barriers to each other's markets and put American producers at a competitive disadvantage. The European Union in April signed a deal with Mexico that is expected to slash tariffs on European dairy and offer further protections for European cheese names like Feta, Munster, Fontina, and Parmesan, blocking American companies from using those labels.
They're messing with the cheese.
The cheese, I mean, the bikes and cheese. I mean, if it gets to the beer, it's just all over. It's just going to be all over.
What do you think aluminum tariffs have done to the cost of canned beer? I mostly drink it out of bottles. Big bottles.
I drink it however
big mugs.
I can get it.
Steins.
You know my favorite beer?
Free.
You know my second favorite beer? Cold.
What? Cold. Cold free beer.
Yes. Not anymore. Not under Trump.
Come back with the Devil's Advocates radio show. Free nude women right here. But no cheese or Harley Davidsons, apparently. 844-967-2789. Your contributions welcome. Please bring the cheese.
Nobody knows more about trade than me. Probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for the American worker.
Guess what? Who are the suckers? Congratulations, you played yourself.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on it anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you've got something to say, talk or text, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I found this piece over the weekend. Rick Wilson, he's a Republican strategist. This was the week that finally broke Trump's spell. Donald Trump can't define or pronounce the word Manichaean, nor could I, so I looked it up. Chiefly historic related to Manichaeism, but it is a philosophy characterized by dualistic contrast. Well, normally I read Rick Wilson because he dumbs it down for guys like I, but let me read on. Donald Trump can't define or pronounce the word Manichaean, but he knows it when he sees it. For Trump, there are two types of people, Donald Trump and losers. And one thing Donald Trump can't abide is a loser. Donald Trump lost this week on immigration and across the board. He lost, doubled down, lost again, hocked the cufflinks, lost, tried to flip the table, and was finally escorted out of the casino and had his knees broken in the parking lot when he couldn't pay his marker.
And yes, losers. They are losers.
Donald Trump was defeated this week by two things he hates most: immigrants and the media. Donald Trump's superpower has been a war with the media that keeps the Republican base locked down tight. His ability to make the press his enemy, to change any story of his failings, flailings, and F-ups into an account about the evil mainstream media hit a wall of kryptonite this week. Once a president who stood astride the media narrative like an orange god, simultaneously captivating and revolting the nation's press corps, Trump was no match for images of crying children torn from their mothers.
Evil losers.
His seemingly magical ability to change the subject vanished, and the arsenal of his weapons of mass distraction were duds. Everyone in Washington noticed. One House member spoke to me on background Wednesday night and said, This mistake broke the spell. Worse for Trump, the hated mainstream media flooded the zone, drilled into the story, and found sources to tell the horrific tales of the Trump comp against 2,500 immigrant children. Instead of taking the dumb, tenditious, but Obama bait, they asked the questions about what was happening now as a direct consequence of orders from this president's administration. Dogged, passionate, visceral coverage changed the climate. Trump is getting dragged, and dragged hard. The stories in the coverage combined two things. First, they exposed how gleefully the Trump administration viewed the pain and fear of children. Second, they made Americans face what was being done in their name. It was an in-depth coverage of the human tragedy of this policy, and it swept aside the usual dumb, bleeding whataboutism that now comprises too much of conservative argument. It was a reminder for the people living in Fox Breitbart talk radio bubble that the mainstream media's power to illuminate stories can't be spun away with the nighttime lineup of Laura Tucker and Sean's ham-like head filling the screen with spittle-flecked rage. Aggressive, constant hostility to the media isn't just a part of Trump's GOP ideology. It's now the central pillar. The press has to lose for Trump to win. The press has to fail for Trump to triumph. He often bests them in single combat. But like the nerdy kid who has had enough and finally knocks the bully on his ass, mainstream reporters and commentators wreck Trump's week. They don't always win like this, but watching the powerful, evocative stories coming out of the border as the scope of the Trump archipelago became clear, the news cycle was entirely out of Trump's control. As hard as the Trump right media machine tried, it's Obama's fault, or why didn't you complain about the family separations then, shill, where failed rhetorical gambits overcome the harsh shock of the now. Retrospective whataboutism is always a weak can. The only thing worse than losing on his central political issue as the hated news media was losing to brown-skinned children from Central America, but lose he did. Trump's crapulous, aggressively dumb team of political arsonists thought they had a surefire winner at the core of the Trump demo. What could go wrong with the heartless, callous policy of visible and aggressive separation of migrant children from their families? They capered and giggled, secured in the knowledge that Fox and talk radio and the alt-right and the alt-light media would cheer Trump's aggressive steps against the cocoa-colored horde of MS-13 toddlers. Not time to complete it. Read it online at Facebook. Have a great night. We'll do it again tomorrow.
The only person that I see a war on is this president and everybody that works for him.
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or